In this lesson, we'll add some wiring to our bike. So if we go ahead and take a look at one of the images that we have here, we'll see that there's a bunch of wiring coming across here. And so that's one of the things that we might want to go ahead and add. So how can we do that? Well, we can do it very quickly using the NURBS curves that we talked about and that we used a little bit earlier. So I'm going to just go over here to the right-hand view, and let's go ahead and create shapes. Let's create NURBS curves, and this time I'll just create a point curve. And so I'll come up and start in here, and I'll just kind of bring this around. And with these, you don't have to be very careful at all. Okay, go ahead and end that. If there's any of these points that you want to move around, you can go ahead and grab those and just kind of tweak them. Okay. Now if we go to our perspective, we'll see that it's sort of inside the engine, so we'll kind of pull it out into the correct spot there. So we get something like that. And now if we go ahead and turn on our geometry, enable in renderer, enable in viewport, you can go ahead and dial that thickness way down. Okay, so you end up with something like that. You can take the number of sides down since this is so small. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and take the number of sides down on this guy, since it's going to be so far away. And I'll go ahead and turn off this auto smooth. Okay, so let me go ahead and dial this down just even a little bit more. So we don't just want one wire, we want several. So let's go ahead and just take this, and holding down shift, actually first I'm going to go ahead and center the pivot, and holding down shift I'm just going to drag this across. I'll make a copy, maybe drag one this way, make a copy. Okay, I'll just make several copies here, sort of bunched together, maybe over here. Okay, let's go ahead and now modify some of these. So go ahead and take this one, modify the points a little so it's not penetrating in there, and then we can decide, let's say we want it to be kind of bunched together up here and down here, on kind of on either side of this. Let me go ahead and just isolate these. Go ahead and isolate all of them together. Okay, so let's say we want to bunch these together up here. Well, we just go in and start taking some of these points on some of these and just push them together. So this is another thing that will help you kind of sell your piece. You can have, it's one thing to have some wires hanging around. It's another thing to have them kind of bunched appropriately and have them, you know, look like they're strung appropriately, look like they're kind of been strung by man, rather than a kind of a natural formation, which you might want if you're doing something, you know, like vines and stuff. You might want them to look a little bit more like they've been just there for a long time. These we want to look like somebody has taken these and strapped them together. So we can go ahead and just bunch these up. Okay, just by taking these points. And we know they have points all at the same place because we actually took these and cloned them. Okay, so we come in here and then probably want to come in and take the some of these curves and just modify them up here so that they're not all the same. Right, so maybe this is kind of over here. Don't have to do a lot, just kind of change things up a little bit, and that'll add a lot to what you're trying to do. Go ahead and bunch that together. And then maybe they're bunched together down here as well. Okay, so I'll come in here and modify these. Push that together. Take this one and bring that all the way over. Okay, so once you've got those all sort of bunched together, and you would want to come in and also take this, you know, take some of these down, just mess them up a little bit, move them around. And the nice thing is that geometry just follows along with you. Okay, so once you've got some of those wires built in there, you could come in and just grab a like a cylinder, just drop that in. So if we wanted to create a little cylinder here and drop that down and over, and just that becomes the sort of the strap or the little bracket that's holding that together. Okay, so wherever these are kind of held nice and tight, you could grab this little cylinder, okay, and just put that right on the right on those cords where they're actually bunched together. And then you could come in and extrude that inner part. Okay, you go ahead and take that polygon, and then you could start to just build that hole in there if you wanted to do that. Okay, something like that, and then, you know, extrude that in. Give you that if you want to get something like that. And again, it's going to be seen from back here, but just having that little piece there will help. Okay, and you probably want to route these up and inside there as well. Okay, but that's one way to get some of these wires. And you can look on the reference that we have, and if there's any other areas that you want to add some wires, we're going to add the brake lines and cables and stuff like that in much the same way. But any of this little detail that you're able to add is going to just help sell what we've got going on here. All right. So let's go ahead and now in the next lesson look at adding the rear suspension. So it's going to be this big kind of shock sticking out back here. We'll have to kind of run it between the exhaust. We may have to move the exhaust a little bit to get it to fit in there. But we'll go ahead and look at how we can do that in the next lesson.